The aroma of roasted turkey permeates my mother's dining room as I hand the bowl of creamy potatoes to Uncle Pete. Smooth jazz drifts from the vintage record player tucked in the corner, Dad's cherished Miles Davis collection, reserved only for meaningful gatherings. The comforting embrace of family tradition envelopes me like a worn blanket, though my mind wanders to the precious hours of rest I might capture before tomorrow's early work shift. Mother occupies her usual spot at the table's end, her pearl necklace glinting beneath the crystal chandelier's glow. Even at 59, Janine Hale carries herself with the graceful bearing of her former ballet days. Her silver-touched hair is arranged in an immaculate updo. Her turkey preparation remains flawless, her table arrangement pristine. The epitome of maternal perfection, at least for the cameras. "You've surpassed yourself once again, Janine," Aunt Martha remarks, ladling cranberry sauce beside her plate. Mother responds with her rehearsed smile, the one that never quite illuminates her eyes. "Just another ordinary family gathering," she replies. Yet nothing involving my mother is ever ordinary. Father clears his throat from his position at the table's head, his reading spectacles balanced on his nose as he portions another slice of turkey. At 65, Russell Hale's hands retain the exactness of his 4-decade engineering career. Dependable, consistent, predictable. "Rohan," he begins, his tone as casual as Minnesota weather talk, "is that monthly $2,400 covering everything adequately?" My fork tumbles from my grasp, striking the fine china with a sharp clatter. The sound reverberates through the sudden quiet. "Which money?" The question escapes before I can contain it. The jazz melody dissolves, replaced by the thundering of blood in my ears. 6 sets of eyes pivot toward my mother, who delicately touches her napkin to her lips, a pillar of calm amid rising tension. "Dad," my voice sounds foreign, disconnected from myself. Father's brow furrows as his gaze shifts between mother and me. "The monthly payments for your schooling and living costs." His eyes narrow slightly. Janine has been managing the transfers. Mother lifts her wine glass, the burgundy liquid catching the light. "I've been directing it to Melody," she states finally, her voice smooth as polished stone. Color drains from Father's face. "What do you mean?" "That money was designated for Rowan's education." I clutch the table's edge, my knuckles whitening. Melody, my younger sister residing in Arizona, developing her fashion enterprise. My sister, who shares weekly images of her stunning apartment, her Sedona excursions, her designer wardrobe. "Melody needs to establish her brand," Mother explains, examining her immaculate manicure. "Rowan has always found a way to cope." Cope. The word settles like lead in my stomach. Coping meant juggling 3 jobs while maintaining full-time studies. Coping meant reinforcing my shoes with staples when they fell apart. Coping meant collapsing during my bar shift 2 months ago, awakening alone in the emergency room within 4 and a $3,000 medical bill. The room sways as the memory floods back. Standing in Mother's spotless kitchen 2 months prior, requesting $80 for a used anatomy textbook I desperately required. "That's excessive, dear," she'd said without lifting her eyes from her cookbook. "We must be sensible." That evening, I'd accepted an additional shift at the bar, serving drinks until 3 a.m. before stumbling home to study until sunrise. 3 days later, I collapsed. The physician termed it severe exhaustion and dehydration. When I called home from the hospital, no one responded. It was Jonah, my study partner, who brought groceries when I was released. Jonah, not family. And throughout that entire period, there was supposed to be $2,400 monthly. Money that could have meant 1 job instead of 3. Money that could have provided actual rest. Propé nutrición. Shoes without staples. Money that went to Melody's brand, to her weekend getaways, to her designer clothes. I push back from the table and rise slowly. My napkin slips from my lap, landing on the hardwood like a white flag of surrender. "How long has this been occurring?" My voice wavers, but holds steady. Mother sighs as if I'm being unreasonable. "You've always been the resilient one, Rohan. Melody requires more assistance. She's more fragile than you." Father's confusion transforms into anger, his face flushing. "Janine, we agreed that money was for both daughters equally. We established those transfers specifically for Rowan's graduate expenses." The room tilts slightly as fragments of conversations from the past 3 years align like puzzle pieces. How Mother always deflected when I mentioned financial aid. Father's surprised expression when I mentioned taking another job. The knowing exchanges between Mother and Melody during family video calls. I draw a deep breath. I need to examine the bank records. Mother's eyes flash. Don't be theatrical, Rowan. It's Thanksgiving. Yes, I respond, my voice finding strength amid the betrayal. And I'm grateful for this clarity. I want to see them tonight. Dawn light filters through the Venetian blinds in Father's office, casting prison bar shadows across mountains of bank statements. My hands shake as I sort through 3 years of financial records scattered across his mahogany desk. Each page exposes another wound, another betrayal. Father sits beside me, his reading glasses perched on his nose, his face pale. His hands tremble as he turns each page, the paper rustling like autumn leaves. This spans 3 years, Rowan. His voice breaks. The entire duration of your graduate program. I nod, the numbers blurring before my eyes as I calculate silently. That's over $86,000 that should have been mine. The words taste bitter. $86,000, the cost of my dignity, the price of my collapse at the bar, of the staples in my shoes, of the nights I fell asleep over textbooks because I couldn't afford to reduce my work hours. Father flips to another statement, his finger tracing a series of transfers I hadn't noticed. His face loses what little color remains. There's more. Much more. He slides the paper toward me. The heading reads, Rowan Elizabeth Hale Trust Fund. A trust fund I never knew existed. A trust fund systematically emptied month after month, year after year. The floor seems to shift beneath me. My college graduation gift from Grandma Rose. The inheritance she left specifically for my education. Gone. The money meant to fund my medical school dreams, the safety net I never knew I had, pulled away before I could ever fall into it. The office door swings open. Mother stands in the doorway, her silk robe tightly belted, her face a mask of outrage upon seeing the papers. You had no right to examine those. Her voice rises, shrill and defensive. She lunges forward as if to gather the evidence, but Father stands, blocking her path. You've stolen from our daughter, he says, his voice deadly quiet. From both our daughters. Mother's eyes narrow. Don't be dramatic, Russell. I made necessary adjustments. Melody has always been special. She needed it more. Special. The word echoes in my head like a taunt. Special enough to receive my money. Special enough to justify my suffering. You took my trust fund. The words escape before I can stop them. Grandma Rose left that for my medical school. Mother's jaw tightens. You were managing adequately. Melody's business needed capital. It was a practical decision. Before I can respond, the phone rings, the landline Father still insists on keeping. He answers, putting it on speaker when he sees the caller ID. Dad. Melody's voice fills the room, high and panicked. Mom isn't answering her cell. There's a problem with my account. I only received $3,500 this month. How am I supposed to pay rent and maintain appearances for my brand? The Sedona retreat is next weekend, and I need at least another $1,000. The silence that follows is absolute. Mother's face hardens into something unrecognizable. Father's expression shifts from shock to determination. Melody will call you back, he says before hanging up. He places his hand on my shoulder, warm and steady. I had no idea, Rowan. This ends today. Half an hour later, the doorbell chimes. Father checks his watch and nods. That'll be Franklin. Franklin Barnes stands in the office doorway, grim-faced and determined. The family attorney's presence transforms this morning from a family dispute into something official, something legal. Franklin has been our attorney for 30 years, Father explains. He'll help us resolve this. Barnes adjusts his wire-rimmed glasses, examining the documents I've arranged chronologically. His frown deepens with each page he reviews. This is serious. There are legal implications here, Janine. My phone buzzes with a text from Jonah. How's it going? Whatever you need, I'm here. A simple message that somehow steadies me in the hurricane of betrayals swirling around this room. Barnes drafts documents on his laptop, printing them on Father's old printer. The The sound of papers sliding out marks the beginning of consequences. I'm implementing an immediate freeze on all accounts, Barnes explains, passing papers to father. And these are the initial documents for legal separation, Russell, as you requested. Mother's practiced composure crumbles. Tears well in her eyes, but they transform to fury as she watches father sign without hesitation. You'll regret this, she hisses. Both of you. While Barnes and father continue their work, I open my laptop and access my student loan portal. What I find stops my breath. Application after application for grants and loans, all marked withdrawn by applicant. Applications I never withdrew. Someone used my passwords. Someone deliberately ensured I would have no financial support. Someone wanted me to struggle. The evidence stares back at me from the screen, the final cut in a death by 1,000 slices. I thought we were a family, I whisper, not caring who hears. The word family hangs in the air like smoke from a fire that's consumed everything I believed in, leaving only ashes and bitter truth. Blood means nothing when betrayal runs this deep. Father meets my eyes across the desk, his face lined with guilt and resolve. We still are Rowan, just not the one we thought we were. 3 days later, the cheerful ping of my phone wakes me at 6:14 a.m. I squint at the screen, expecting another shift swap request from the bar. Instead, it's a Facebook notification. You've been tagged in Janine Hale's post. My thumb hovers over the screen. 4 days after Thanksgiving, and this is the first contact from my mother. I tap the notification. There we are, the Thanksgiving table, turkey gleaming under the chandelier light. Everyone smiling as if nothing had happened. Mother's perfectly manicured finger must have pressed post right before father asked about the money. Her caption reads, "So blessed by my devoted daughters. Family is everything. #gratitude, #blessed, #family first." The phone slips from my hand onto the thin mattress. 37 likes already. Comments piling up about what a beautiful family we are. What a performance. I step onto the cold floor of my apartment, the familiar draft cutting through my worn pajama pants. The stack of envelopes I collected last night sits on my kitchen counter. All past due notices. But now, at least, I know the truth. The electricity bill sits unpaid while my credit card reaches its limit from textbook purchases. Hospital bills from my recent collapse now threaten collection proceedings. My phone rings again, piercing and relentless. How could you betray me like this? Her voice shakes through the recorded message. Father has frozen all our accounts. I desperately need those funds. My lease payment is overdue, and I have 3 brand partnerships scheduled this week. I can't appear on camera with swollen eyes from weeping. Solve this, Rohan. Repair what you've supposedly broken when everything was functioning perfectly. A knock interrupts my thoughts. Too early for regular visitors, too insistent for package delivery. Through the peephole, my stomach sinks. Mother stands in the corridor, pearl earrings glinting under the hallway's flickering fluorescent. Her cashmere coat fastened immaculately. Rowan Elizabeth Hale, open this door immediately. I contemplate feigning absence, but Mrs. Gertrude from the opposite apartment has already noticed her, exclaiming enthusiastically about such an elegant mother coming to visit. I unlock the door as Mother begins explaining to Mrs. Gertrude her concerns about her troubled daughter. Mother, I say, maintaining composure, this is unexpected. She glides past me into the apartment, her gaze cataloging every detail, the stained ceiling, the water damage, the mismatched furniture, textbooks serving as improvised bookends. We must discuss your actions, she declares, placing her designer handbag on my scratched coffee table. Your father is being completely irrational, and now you've involved Letty in this chaos. I've involved Letty? The words feel foreign on my tongue. Mother begins pacing my cramped space. You've always envied her achievements, but manipulating your father this way. Manipulating? I'm surprised by my own steady tone. By inquiring about funds that were designated for me. Those funds were allocated for family necessities. As the mother, I determine our family's needs. Her gaze flashes. You have no comprehension of the pressure she faces. Brand building requires investment, and medical school doesn't. I counter. She dismisses this with a wave. You've always found ways to manage. That's what distinguishes you from your sister. Your resilience. Resilience. The word they use to justify every burden placed on my shoulders while shielding her from consequences. I once believed in it, wore it like armor. Mother continues her agitated pacing, voice escalating. A young couple passes in the hallway, slowing to eavesdrop. You're creating a disturbance, I say quietly. I'm creating a disturbance? You're the one destroying this family with your accusations and demands. After all we've provided for you. The couple is clearly listening now. Perfect timing before my afternoon laboratory shift. Please go, I say, opening the door. I won't leave until you contact your father and explain this was all a misunderstanding. My phone rings, an unknown number with the university's prefix. Excuse me, I say, retreating to the bathroom, the only private space in my studio apartment. Miss Hale, this is Andrea Wexler from Financial Aid. We've reviewed your emergency assistance application, and I'm pleased to inform you personally that it's been approved. My knees buckle. I sink onto the bathtub's edge. Given your academic performance and circumstances, you qualify for immediate emergency assistance and potentially our hardship scholarship for the upcoming semester. Can you visit today to finalize the paperwork? I press my palm against my mouth, suppressing an unexpected sob. Yes, I can be there at 11. When I emerge from the bathroom, Mother is reading a text, frowning. I must leave, she says abruptly. Consider what I've told you, Rowan. Family takes precedence. The door closes behind her, and for the first time in years, something unfamiliar settles in my chest. Not anger or resentment, but something lighter. Something resembling hope. 2 hours later, I sit across from Professor Matthews, clutching financial aid documents. Rowan, I've been meaning to speak with you, he says, his bow tie characteristically askew. Dr. Lee and I are expanding our mitochondrial disease marker research. We require a paid research assistant, 20 hours weekly, flexible schedule, reasonable stipend. Are you interested? I stare at him, wondering if this is some elaborate jest. The position hasn't been posted yet. We're bypassing the standard process. Lee specifically requested you after reviewing your laboratory work last month. He slides a contract across the desk. You could begin Monday. That evening, I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling. No alarm set for bar shifts, no delivery notifications pinging, just silence and my refrigerator's gentle hum. For the first time in months, perhaps years, I sleep truly and deeply. No startled awakenings to study, no anxiety-induced dreams about missed shifts. 8 uninterrupted hours. Morning light filters through my thin curtains. I stand before the bathroom mirror, examining my reflection. The dark circles beneath my eyes appear lighter. My shoulders no longer curve toward my ears in perpetual tension. I don't need to sacrifice myself to prove my worth, I whisper to my reflection, the words feeling strange but true. My phone rings. Melody. Instead of ignoring it, I answer and suggest meeting at Riverbank Coffee at noon. Neutral ground with witnesses. She arrives 20 minutes late in white jeans that likely cost more than my monthly grocery budget, a caramel leather handbag draped over her elbow. Her hair falls in perfect waves while mine is scraped back in its usual ponytail. This place doesn't even offer oat milk, she complains, settling into the chair across from me. I push a regular latte toward her. Thank you for coming. As if I had options. Father's being completely unreasonable. He's reduced my allowance to practically nothing. Now my landlord is threatening eviction. I take a measured sip of my coffee. Did you know? Know what? Did you know those funds were intended for both of us? I maintain steady eye contact. She shifts uncomfortably. Mother said you didn't require them. That wasn't her decision to make. Or yours. You're simply envious. Her voice rises slightly. You've always been jealous of my apartment, my connections, my lifestyle. I say nothing, sliding a folder across the table. What's this? She opens it, frowning at the hospital letterhead. My medical bills from when I collapsed at work 2 months ago. This is what managing looked like for me. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after betrayal? What was your first step toward healing? 2 weeks later, the university counselor's office smells of coffee and aged books. Dr. Marion sits across from me, Reading glasses perched on her nose as she reviews documents spread across her desk. My bank statements, father's affidavit, medical records from my collapse. I've encountered financial aid issues before, but this. She removes her glasses, pinching the bridge of her nose. Deliberate sabotage of your FAFSA applications, diversion of over $86,000, and your mother listed as your financial supporter while you worked 3 jobs. I study the edge of her desk, worn smooth by years of desperate students leaning against it. Your case for independent student status is solid, Dr. Marion says, stamping a form with unnecessary force. With this documentation, we can backdate it to when the diversion began. The weight lifting from my chest makes me dizzy. Independent status means grants, not loans. It means 1 job, not 3. Thank you, I whisper, the words inadequate for what this means. Back at father's new apartment, we construct a timeline on his dining room wall. Yellow sticky notes for bank transfers, blue for my loan applications, green for social media posts about her shopping sprees. Dated evidence serving a purpose I never imagined. Father stands back, arms crossed. 3 years for months and 12 days of deliberate deception. The precision in his voice reminds me that before he became my betrayed father, he was an engineer who believed in measurements and accuracy. Now he measures his wife's betrayal in days and dollars. My phone buzzes repeatedly, mother's texts swinging between tearful pleas and vicious accusations. Your father is destroying our family, and you're enabling him. Why are you doing this to us? The us stings most. There was never an us that included me. Franklin Barnes arrives at 7, legal briefcase in hand. Father's trusted attorney for 3 decades now feels like my advocate too. He spreads documents across the table, transforming our family tragedy into something clinical. We need to think beyond mere recovery, Barnes says, tapping a document outlining trust fund statutes. This concerns protecting your future, not just reclaiming your past. Father nods, though I notice his trembling hand as he signs another form. For him, this isn't just about money. It's 35 years of marriage built on deception. The restraining order is temporary, Barnes explains. Just sufficient to prevent Janine from accessing additional funds or creating scenes at your workplace. A knock at the door makes us turn. Father answers, surprise registering on his face. Letty stands in the doorway, designer handbag clutched to her chest, eyes rimmed red. I need to stay here, she announces, entering without invitation. Mother's friends are asking questions. Someone at church mentioned a financial scandal. I can't handle it. Barnes raises an eyebrow at me. The timing is suspicious, Letty appearing just as we review trust fund documentation. You can't stay here, I say, keeping my voice level. Not right now. Her face crumples. But I'm your sister. Where am I supposed to go? For the first time, I notice something beneath her perfect makeup. Fear. The same fear I've lived with for years, wondering how I'd pay rent while buying textbooks. You have an apartment, I remind her. The one my money paid for. That's not fair. I didn't know. Didn't you? I open my laptop, turning the screen toward her. Your rate my professor review of Dr. Harrison. Anonymous, but the IP address matches Mother's home network. Posted the day after he offered me the research position. Letty's mouth opens, closes. Mother said he was taking advantage of. He was helping me, and you attempted to destroy his reputation. My phone pings with an email notification, the University Scholarship Committee. I scan the message, then look up, momentarily stunned. I got it. I say to no one in particular. Full academic scholarship based on my research proposal. Father's face breaks into the first genuine smile I've seen in weeks. Barnes nods approvingly, and Letty looks utterly lost, as though watching a play where everyone knows their lines except her. My phone pings again. The university newspaper wants to feature my research project on cellular regeneration. The same day, Father receives confirmation of his formal complaint filing against Mother's financial misconduct. The tables are turning so rapidly I can barely keep up. That night, I post a simple message thanking my supporters, carefully avoiding any mention of family drama. Within hours, it receives more comments than anything I've ever shared. People I barely know offer congratulations, professors share opportunities. Meanwhile, father tells me Aunt Martha confronted mother at their church group. Family friends are quietly declining mother's lunch invitations. Letty discovers that her fashion school wants justification for program expenses previously covered by family support. Their carefully constructed narrative is crumbling. Just past midnight, my phone rings.
Letty.
I almost decline, but something makes me answer. I had no idea how difficult things were for you, she says, her voice smaller than I've ever heard it. 3 jobs while taking full credit loads. The silence stretches between us, filled with years of unspoken truths. I started at the boutique today, she continues. Part-time. It's not much, but I watch snow falling outside my window, covering the world in clean white, a blank slate. It's a beginning, I say finally. Later, an email from mother arrives with a blank subject line. Perhaps we should talk. Father's response when I forward it to him is immediate. Reconciliation requires accountability, not just apologies. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm standing on solid ground, not because of what I've reclaimed, but because of what I refuse to surrender anymore. My peace, my truth, my future. I won't be defined by what they took from me. Would you give family members who betrayed you a second chance? What boundaries would you set? Next week, on Wednesday, the corner booth at Mabel's Diner feels like neutral territory, Switzerland in our family's Cold War. I slide into the worn vinyl seat, positioning myself with a clear view of the door. Outside, autumn leaves scatter across the parking lot as October wind pushes them into small tornadoes. Janine arrives 15 minutes late, her camel hair coat and pearls absurdly formal against the backdrop of blue-collar breakfast specials and bottomless coffee. She scans the diner with barely concealed disdain before spotting me. Rowan, darling. She air kisses near my cheek, her Chanel perfume settling around us like expensive fog. This place is quaint. Letty trails behind, clutching a glossy gift bag with tissue paper blooming from the top. Her smile wavers when our eyes meet. I brought you something, she says, pushing the bag across the table. A peace offering. I don't touch it. Thank you, but let's talk first. Janine orders herbal tea, grimacing at the ceramic mug the waitress delivers. She launches into what sounds like a rehearsed speech, her hands performing their familiar ballet of emphasis. Family is everything, Rowan. We've all made mistakes. We all have regrets. Her voice has that practice lilt she uses at garden club meetings. It's time for healing, for moving forward together. Melody nods earnestly. Mother and I have been discussing how to make things right. Janine slides a manila folder toward me. We've drafted a proposal, a fresh start for everyone. I take a sip of water, letting the ice clink against my teeth. The folder contains paperwork for me to voluntarily relinquish remaining trust fund claims, in the interest of family harmony. The document uses phrases like mutual agreement and amicable resolution, while essentially asking me to forfeit everything. Are you finished? I ask when Janine's monologue about family obligations finally ends. I remove my own folder from my bag, placing it carefully on the table between us. The label reads simply, Evidence. November 14th, 2022, $2. For $100 transferred from my account to Letty's. I flip a page. December 18th, 2022, additional transfer of $5,000 from my trust. Janine's face hardens. This is unnecessary. February 3rd, 2023, I continue, my voice steady. Trust fund withdrawal of $12,000 for educational expenses. That was during my hospitalization for exhaustion. Letty's eyes widen. Mother said that was for your student loans. I reach into my pocket and place my phone on the table, tapping the screen. Janine's voice fills our corner of the diner. Of course I didn't tell Russell. Rowan has always been able to manage. Letty needs more support to establish herself. It's a mother's prerogative to allocate resources where they're most needed. Janine lunges for the phone. I slide it back into my pocket. I'm not here for revenge, I say, meeting her eyes. I'm here for honesty. The diner door opens, letting in a gust of cold air and Franklin Barnes, briefcase in hand. Behind him, my father's familiar silhouette appears, shoulders squared with resolve. Right on time, I say. Barnes places his weathered leather briefcase on the table, extracting a thick document. This is a complete accounting of all funds diverted from Rowan's accounts over the past 3 years. His voice carries the calm authority of 30 years of legal practice. The total exceeds $86,000. My father pulls papers from his own folder. I found these in your desk drawer, Janine. Letters from the university about financial aid applications that were never completed. His voice catches. Applications you told me you'd helped her with. I place my medical records on the growing pile. This is from my hospital stay after I collapsed during a double shift at the bar. Diagnosis: severe exhaustion and malnutrition. Finally, I open my laptop, turning the screen toward Letty. Her own Instagram feed displays post after post. Weekend trips to Sedona, designer purchases, brunches at upscale restaurants. Each caption mentions mom's support or family backing. Janine stands abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. Yes, you do. My father blocks her exit from the booth. For once, you'll hear the truth. Letty stares at the hospital records, her mascara smudging as tears form. I didn't know it was like this. I thought. She looks up at me, her carefully constructed reality crumbling. I thought you were fine. You have no idea the pressure I was under. Janine's voice rises, drawing glances from nearby tables. Maintaining our standing, ensuring Letty could establish herself properly. Neither do you, I say quietly. The words hang in the air between us, simple and devastating. Barnes clears his throat, presenting another document. This is a formal restitution agreement, Mrs. Hale. You'll note the division of assets appropriately compensates Rowan for funds misappropriated, with Mr. Hale's full consent. My father's voice is firm. The majority goes to Rowan. Letty will receive a reduced monthly stipend contingent upon part-time employment. Letty nods, mascara tracks mapping her surrender. That's fair. Janine's hand trembles as she reaches for her tea, the reality of her diminished lifestyle registering in her eyes. I stand, gathering my evidence. The money wasn't really what this was about. What's more important in family relationships, financial support or emotional honesty? The answer surrounds us in this vinyl booth, in the space between what we say and what we mean, in the price we pay for truth. At present, the white lab coat hangs perfectly pressed on the back of my door, a daily reminder that dreams can survive even the harshest winters. I run my fingers across the embroidered name, Rowan Hale, research assistant, as morning light streams through my apartment windows. 1 year after the Thanksgiving that shattered my family's carefully constructed facade, I finally sleep through the night. My refrigerator holds actual groceries now, not just condiment packets stolen from fast food restaurants or bruised discount apples, but real food that doesn't require mathematical calculations to justify purchasing. Last night, I cooked chicken with fresh vegetables instead of surviving on ramen and coffee. The framed diploma catches the sunlight from its place beside a photograph of our research team. Professor Harrison stands in the center, her silver hair gleaming, her hand resting proudly on my shoulder. The 5 of us beam at the camera, celebrating the publication of our... Meanwhile, Father tells me Aunt Martha confronted Mother at their church group. Family friends are quietly declining Mother's lunch invitations. Letty discovers that her fashion school wants justification for program expenses previously covered by family support. Their carefully constructed narrative is crumbling. Just past midnight, my phone rings. Letty. I almost decline, but something makes me answer. I had no idea how difficult things were for you, she says, her voice smaller than I've ever heard it. 3 jobs while taking full credit loads. The silence stretches between us, filled with years of unspoken truths. I started at the boutique today, she continues. Part-time. It's not much, but... I watch snow falling outside my window, covering the world in clean white, a blank slate. It's a beginning, I say finally. Later, an email from Mother arrives with a blank subject line. Perhaps we should talk. Father's response when I forward it to him is immediate. Reconciliation requires accountability, not just apologies. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm standing on solid ground, not because of what I've reclaimed, but because of what I refuse to surrender anymore. My peace, my truth, my future. I won't be defined by what they took from me. Would you give family members who betrayed you a second chance? What boundaries would you set? Next week, on Wednesday, the corner booth at Mabel's Diner feels like neutral territory, Switzerland in our family's Cold War. I slide into the worn vinyl seat, positioning myself with a clear view of the door. Outside, autumn leaves scatter across the parking lot as October wind pushes them into small tornadoes. Janine arrives 15 minutes late, her camel hair coat and pearls absurdly formal against the backdrop of blue-collar breakfast specials and bottomless coffee. She scans the diner with barely concealed disdain before spotting me. "Rowan, darling." She air kisses near my cheek, her Chanel perfume settling around us like expensive fog. This place is quaint. Letty trails behind, clutching a glossy gift bag with tissue paper blooming from the top. Her smile wavers when our eyes meet. "I brought you something," she says, pushing the bag across the table. "A peace offering." I don't touch it. "Thank you, but let's talk first." Janine orders herbal tea, grimacing at the ceramic mug the waitress delivers. She launches into what sounds like a rehearsed speech, her hands performing their familiar ballet of emphasis. "Family is everything, Rowan. We've all made mistakes. We all have regrets." Her voice has that practice lilt she uses at garden club meetings. "It's time for healing, for moving forward together." Melody nods earnestly. "Mother and I have been discussing how to make things right." Janine slides a manila folder toward me. "We've drafted a proposal, a fresh start for everyone." I take a sip of water, letting the ice clink against my teeth. The folder contains paperwork for me to voluntarily relinquish remaining trust fund claims, in the interest of family harmony. The document uses phrases like mutual agreement and amicable resolution, while essentially asking me to forfeit everything. "Are you finished?" I ask when Janine's monologue about family obligations finally ends. I remove my own folder from my bag, placing it carefully on the table between us. The label reads simply, "Evidence." November 14th, 2022, $2 for 100 transferred from my account to Letty's. I flip a page. December 18th, 2022, additional transfer of $5,000 from my trust. Janine's face hardens. "This is unnecessary." February 3rd, 2023, I continue, my voice steady. Trust fund withdrawal of $12,000 for educational expenses. That was during my hospitalization for exhaustion. Letty's eyes widen. "Mother said that was for your student loans." I reach into my pocket and place my phone on the table, tapping the screen. Janine's voice fills our corner of the diner. "Of course I didn't tell Russell. Rowan has always been able to manage. Letty needs more support to establish herself. It's a mother's prerogative to allocate resources where they're most needed." Janine lunges for the phone. I slide it back into my pocket. "I'm not here for